Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just had to stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Do you have to belch so much?
It's in the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think you're getting into? What do you think this is?
We give you fair warning with that intro. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I am Bryce Hanson. I have a PhD in spookology, and my friend across from me every week is
David Day, Professor David Day.
Right.
The foremost expert in scare meow meows.
Okay. New theatrical. We already went over that. Hey. If you're new.
Hey, how you doing?
Check out our website, horrormovietalk.com. There you'll find links to all our social media and all the other things that we do. If you are a fan of The Haunting of Bly Manor or Hill House, we have special after shows for that you can check out there. We post new episodes of our regular show, which this is, every Wednesday. If you like or dislike our belches or anything else we do, leave us a voicemail at 682-253-4468.
Do you have that memorized yet?
No.
That number?
No.
I have it. I have it in my head now.
Yeah, I have to open Google Voice every time.
682-253-4468.
Mm-hmm. Or if you have trouble remembering it, it's 682-253-4HMT.
4HMT. That's right. Yeah. That's much easier to remember.
Right. So get ready for the new year, because today we'll be talking about Terror Train.
Oh
boy.
This is a real zinger of a classic. 1980, if I recall.
We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, after we talk about Terror Train, we'll be doing taglines and horror movie whores.
Oh, baby. This is going to be a jam-packed episode. I like it.
Yeet.
Hey, let me ask you before... Hey, Bryce, let me...
David.
What put this movie on your radar? I have a guess. Can I field a guess before you answer?
Go for it.
You were like, well, I have to do the episode that's released closest to New Year's, so I'm going to look up New Year's horror movies. Okay.
Exactly.
And because before this, I had heard the name Terror Train. I knew nothing about it. I certainly didn't know Jamie Lee Curtis was in it and that it was done in 1980.
Right.
But it makes sense.
I think, so yeah, it's kind of a tradition now. Around Halloween, we cover one of the Halloweens.
Yeah.
During December, we're doing mostly Christmas horror movies.
There's so many Christmas horror movies.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I thought, we've never done a New Year's episode. And this will come out December 30th. So 2 days, 1 day before New Year's Eve. And so, that's exactly what I did. I Googled New Year's horror movies, and this is on the list of all of them, and it's basically a list of awful movies, and they're all like, this is shit, and then it gets to Terror Train, and it's like,
this one's
pretty good. And to think that this was the good one, it is slim pickings on New Year's Eve horror.
Well, we'll get into it, but I think I had actually a pretty fun time with this.
On the same list where I found this one, number 10 was End of Days, the Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh, like 97 or something like that?
Was that even a horror movie? It's
I mean, it's scary because it's the end of days, I guess.
It's the end of Schwarzenegger's blockbuster career.
Yeah.
Anyways, this week we streamed Terror Train, and it was terrible.
Wow, you really have feelings about this.
Here is the trailer.
Everybody take off your mask.
Hey, take it easy, man. What are you doing?
Oh my God. Stay with your date. I don't want to get back on that track. Nobody does. Help! Please! Nice getting, Help! You'll die. At this temperature, you'll die. You'll die. Come on, Mo. Come on.
For the students aboard, it's going to be the one party to end them all.
They're always walking out of my parties. But this time, you can't.
Magic.
My last big college party.
It's a joke. Goddamn practical joke.
Train.
I don't want to get back on that track.
Toot, toot.
The sound of terror. Toot, toot. All aboard.
Okay. So, yeah, Terror Train is available on Amazon Prime Video as of this recording. Terror Train is a slasher set on a train during New Year's Eve. It's pretty much all you need to know.
There it is. That's the whole movie.
If that just gets you clamoring towards the remote, this movie might be for you.
But it also stars Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it's the final girl extraordinaire, Jamie Lee Curtis.
And it's set 2 years away from Halloween.
Yeah.
This is her, dare I say, second holiday-based horror film in 2 years.
Terror Train. Oh, so yeah, it's set in an alternate universe where people celebrate New Year's by chartering a train for an Eyes Wide Shut style costume party fuckfest.
Except it's not.
Other things about this alternate universe is people never disclose pertinent life and death information, and David Copperfield is sexy.
That was David Copperfield.
You texted me that it was David Copperfield.
That was David Copperfield.
I sent you that we were going to do Terror Train, and your second, your response was, "It's got David Copperfield in it."
Okay, so
you didn't spot him on the whole.
That was early in the week.
Okay,
and then I forgot all about that, and then I watched this movie on Thursday. And then I was like, and then up until now, I didn't even remember David Copperfield was in it.
Yeah, David Copperfield, get this, played the magician.
Whoa! Actually, the tricks he did were probably the most interesting parts of the movie.
It really was.
I don't know how he put the cigarette through that quarter. I'm still and he smoked it.
I do. I think I actually had one of those quarters. films.
Wait, there's a... Wait.
I don't
want
to break your illusion.
Are you going to... You break my illusion, you're going to get fucked up by the guild, dude.
Well, I'm not
back here next week.
I'm not a member, so they can't do no shit to me.
You're just going to be a fucking corpse.
Yeah. It's a trick quarter, if you want to know.
So there's a hole in it?
Yeah, you can get these quarters that are like...
Oh, it's all just sleight of hand.
Very, very, very finely cut in certain ways to where, like, you can't see where it's cut. So that one is like... it's got a hole cut in it and, like, a flap on the back. So you can push something through it. It looks like you're pushing it through the quarter. Well, and then when you pull it out, it seals it up.
It's nice knowing you, buddy.
It's an illusion, Michael. So at the opening of the film, we were introduced to a group of wacky friends, including the ringleader, Doc, played by Hart Bachner, and a sorority sister, and final girl expert Jamie Lee Curtis playing Elena. The beginning of the movie is set 3 years prior on a fateful New Year's celebration where this group of friends punked a fraternity pledge student so hard that he spun himself into an insane asylum.
Did they punk him?
It's that opening scene was so confusing.
It's inexplicable.
It's one of those like that. I was like, I should rewind this and watch it again to try to understand what's going on. And I didn't, because I was like, this does not deserve that much attention.
Okay, we'll get into this in spoilers.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
I'm very interested in learning a little more about this.
So 3 years later after that, during the train ride, the students start getting murdered by a mysterious, almost magical killer. I picked Terror Train, like I said, because we were trying to find a New Year's horror movie, and apparently the picking is really slim because this is considered the good one. It isn't. The plot, like most slashers, is incidental and is held together by a thread composed of awful dialogue and terrible direction. I was honestly confused about what happened in the opening scene because I didn't know if I was supposed to understand that the dead body featured was a murder victim or a medical school cadaver.
Right.
I kind of gathered that it was the latter.
It moved like a fresh person.
Yeah.
Oh, a medical school cadaver.
Because, like, right before that, they're like, I think they were throwing around like a severed hand. They're like, medical school. We just... use dead body parts willy-nilly because that's the kind of pranksters we are.
Oh, man. This reminds me of a conversation that I just had with our fucking phenomenal artist, Dustin Goebel, about James Gunn.
Oh,
who is apparent, like, I never looked into James Gunn. I never gave him a second thought, but he got Me Too'd
He did?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Out of directing the third Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, it wasn't me. He got canceled.
He basically got Me Too'd.
It was like Twitter. His tweets in the past were.
Oh no, his tweets are vile. Yeah, the dude is he's definitely an edgelord, like a 40-year-old, 45-year-old, like 13-year-old at heart, who's just a 4chan fucking user and like super edgy. So he started out by writing and directing a couple of trauma films.
Right, Tromeo and Juliet.
Right.
Was his breakout hit.
Yeah, and he did one or two other trauma films, but it seems like he never left that group of friends of like just trauma, just really fucking perverse sense of humor people. And so he just kept making these horrendous tweets and going to these like child molestation parties where a bunch of adults dress up as like kids and like priests or like Easter Bunny and like or like the fucking it's inexplicable. Look him up. Look up his exploits, because on the one hand I support his his freedom of speech. On the other hand, man, it's really dumb to be so edgy when you're
you're when you're at like the trauma level, you don't really think you're ever going to make it to like a Disney blockbuster,
right? Yeah, no, and
you're like, this is what I'm going to do for the meantime. Like, I'll make films, and then maybe someday I'll make some art house film. that will get me enough money to live off of, but you wouldn't think you're going to direct two of the largest blockbusters of the last decade.
But also, 30 years have gone by, and you kind of need to grow up a little bit. I mean, you don't need to. It's just weird that you don't.
I'm sure he has.
It doesn't. I'm just saying, he hasn't that much.
Right.
Which is weird. It's fine. Fine. Whatever.
Here we are on our pedestal at horror movie talk where we belch and...
If a bunch of consenting adults want to play child molestation, role play in public, I guess that's up to them.
I mean, that's kind of genius because that's like taking it to a place of kink. And you can't kink shame.
Yeah, you can't kink shame. You really can't.
Yeah.
No, it's not allowed anymore.
Child molesting is not a kink, but acting like a child molester, that is a kink.
Right.
So you don't kink shame.
And never the two shall meet. Right? Child. Chimos.
So I guess getting back to the beginning of this movie, I guess all we need to know is that the victim of the prank was pranked too hard.
Yeah, he got pranked.
He got pranked too hard.
Fucking prank.
You can go too far. The dialogue is truly laughable. It feels like the ad-libbed lines in the fast-forwarded parts of pornos. I was bored throughout the whole film, and not because I was tired, because I know you're going to say that, but because it was boring and dumb.
I wouldn't accuse you of being bored in this movie.
Yeah. Honestly, the most dread-filled moment of this movie was when I checked the time code and I had half of it left to watch. It was... I checked it at like 45 minutes. I was like, oh.
It's getting harder and harder for me to read. I said this while we were playing the trailer, but it's hard for me to know where you're going to go with things.
I know. There were two things that almost saved the movie for me, though, that were redeeming qualities. One, David Copperfield as the magician reminded me that only a magician can truly be as creepy as a magician. And two, the ending is so dumb, I laughed out loud. I was so disengaged through this whole movie, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care one fucking bit. And then it got to the finale. It was so ridiculous. I was like, what? And it's almost like a fuck you to the audience of like, fuck you for watching this movie.
Yeah.
The end.
The twist is remarkably low effort. Yeah.
It was a twist ending in more ways than one.
It's the dreaded triple twist where no twists occur at all.
There was a twist where you find out who the killer was, and then there was a twist where he twisted.
Right.
He just twirled around.
Well, but not only that, it's like, you think the killer's going to be this guy the whole way through. Yeah. And it's like, the movie sets it up as like, you think you know who it's going to be. You don't know. And then it's like, no, you knew. And then it's like, fuck you.
So anyways, honestly, I don't think the movie's worth your time, but you should have a fun time. Listen to us talk about it. Yeah, I
think it's kind of worth their time.
Really?
Yeah, what do you give it? What's your score? Remembering that we score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge that makes you angry you had to watch, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre.
Right. So I've made it clear that I'm not a fan of slashers. And even the ones that we've watched that are supposed to be like the top tier, like cream of the crop, like Halloween, Black Christmas.
What are you doing? Why are you doing this to us?
Friday the 13th.
The Halloween people are going to come to and kill us at our house.
And
not that I'm saying Halloween people are mentally unstable, but
there's only a few slashers that I've liked that we've watched, and they all have like this special extra element.
What are they?
Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's the good stuff.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah. To be honest with you, though, Nightmare on Elm Street is pretty fucking great.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost not a slasher, though. That's like a supernatural or like fantastical kind of thing. That's what makes it more interesting is like the dream element and Freddy Krueger. It's not interesting because Freddy Krueger kills people.
Yeah. I was having this discussion with Bugsy on Instagram this week. He's like, what do you think of Hellraiser as a slasher? And I'm like, it's not really a slasher. It's interesting.
Right.
It's like, it's like, it's got a lot of sexual overtones and it's really fucking weird. And yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know.
So anyways, when we start getting more like B, C, D tier slashers, it's really scraping the bottom of the barrel for me.
What do you give it?
Oh, I give it a 2 out of 10.
That is, wow, that's pretty low.
Really a not enjoyable movie.
I think you tend to skew low and I skew high.
Yeah, it's not even a fun movie
in comparison to each other. See, and that's where I disagree with you. That's the exact spot where I disagree with you. I had a pretty decent time watching this, all things considered.
Yeah.
For what it is. At the start, it starts out at a sorority, or not, a fraternity, and I'm like, how is this going to be about a train? And then the train aspect of it was actually quite charming to me, and the party was fun. I like the party elements of things. I always, if you've listened to this show for a while, like, I really enjoy the idyllic elements of, like, happy good times.
Uh-huh.
It's like the Halloween that's overly Halloween-y, and everybody, the street is packed with people. And this was a very fun seeming New Year's Eve party that I wanted to be a part of, and therefore I was bought in on kind of the dramatic element of this movie. And mostly this movie is less of a slasher and more of a kind of a low effort drama. Where there's just a lot of relationship, like, fuckery, people are messing with each other, and it's kind of about, being a college kid at a party, and the poking and prodding to get this person to go have sex with that person, and, like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a party movie first, and then, like, a very bad slasher second.
Well, it's very bad at both of them.
Yeah,
really.
It's not great at either of them.
Yeah.
It's certainly very, very bad at the scary elements.
This one would be, honestly, this one's ripe for a remake. Like, setting is great. The idea of being stuck on a train with a killer on board is pretty great. Like, I mean, we just reviewed... well, we didn't just review. Whenever we actually come out, if you want to see like a real great horror movie set on a train, watch Train to Busan.
Yeah,
that really shows you the inescapable terror of the possibility of being attacked in an enclosed space where you can't escape.
Yeah. No, this is a lot of back and forth and talking and thinking and then talking more and then.
And illusions.
And illusions.
And pranks.
And tricks. Lots of tricks.
Whores do tricks, Michael.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think at the time I was like at a 5. Uh-huh. But, this happens, I think, to both of us. When we hear the other one describe the movie in great detail.
You're like, you're right.
Yeah. Boy. But my initial knee-jerk reaction, take this for what it's worth, was this is pretty average for 1980. I always try to contextualize it, right? So it was released in 1980. This is very, very early on in slasherdom. Jamie Lee Curtis is cute, and I had a decent enough time, so I kind of landed on a 5. But now listening to you describe it, I'm being shamed into a kind of a 4. Okay. I'd say. Yeah. But yeah, I think for a free movie, especially one that surrounds.
Right.
Look, this is a fabulous movie to have on in the background of your New Year's Eve party.
Yeah. That would be good.
Exactly that. You don't need to pay attention. It's just kind of goofy and fun.
Right. You can time the ball dropping to when the killer falls out of the train.
Right. Yeah.
Spoilers. So, let's move on to our mid-roll. Check in, chew up, and tune out this new year with OK Drugs Peach Eatables. They're the perfectly calming remedy for those seeking a gentle easing of worry as we transition from the nightmare that was 2020 into 2021.
Into the new nightmare.
Well, we're hopeful, and OK Gummies will help with that because it helps shift perspectives and elevate experiences and find clarity in crazy. So even if 2021 is crazy,
yeah,
OK Drugs Peach Eatables will help you with that.
OK Drugs makes it okay.
Like when you're confronted with 2020, your response should be OK Drugs.
Man, bingo.
Peach Eatables are vegan, THC free, made with broad spectrum CBD to help relax, and L-theanine to help you stay focused. Order your feel-good fix and use promo code HORROR to get 10% off today. That's HORROR, HORROR, to get 10% off today at clarityInCrazy.com.
During this corona shutdown, independent local theaters are in serious risk of not being able to open once the quarantine is lifted. And, we're big fans of our local theaters.
We got lots. It's like a embarrassment of riches in the Portland metro area. We got a lot of great historical theaters around here.
Yeah, we got the Kiggins, we got Cinema 21, we got the Hollywood. But today I'd really like to talk about Cinema 21, which is in Portland, Oregon. Cinema 21 plays many independent and hard-to-find movies that allow us to bring you reviews of fabulous horror movies like The House That Jack Built and Color Out of Space. They are privately owned and struggling to survive the shutdown. So
it's a really sad story because, since, March, they've been shut down, and then there was this little glimmer of, you can open up a little bit,
question mark,
and none of
fuck you, don't close those doors.
Yeah, but it's here it's a pretty conservative when it comes to COVID measures. It's let's be overly cautious. So theaters never really opened up. Yeah. Cinema 21 was renting out to private party stuff and was kind of on a lifeline from that. And then stuff got worse and everything got shut down again. So it's a real rough spot for independent cinema.
Yeah, so please help us keep Cinema 21 open by going to cinema21.com and buying a gift certificate. As soon as they reopen, they'll be happy to honor your gift card. So for those of you that aren't local to Portland, please consider reaching out to your local theaters to see what you can do to help them because, man, I just... there is light at the end of the tunnel. We got these vaccines coming. I just want to go do something fucking normal. And let's just make sure that can happen. Right. So help keep your local theaters open.
Also, if you want to support us, there's several ways you can do that. The best way would be to join our Patreon and experience the perks and community that come with your membership. Perks like a whole second podcast called The Afterpod, where we leave the mics running and just talk about what's going on in our lives, as well as just participating in the community. And there's tiers where you can suggest movies and vote on them. You can get access to our calendar for upcoming episodes. Lots of fun stuff, and you get direct access to us pretty much.
Yeah, and also you can help us out by heading over to horrormovietalk.com/shop, and from there you can find all of our merchandise. We got American Psycho stickers, we got The Shining stickers, we got The Exorcist stickers, we got some shirts with our logos on it, both in red and black. Got a whole bunch of fun stuff over there. We got a Color Out of Space sticker that's holographic and awesome, so you guys should at least head on over there and give it a little looky-loo to see if we got anything that you want.
Yeah, you just took back all the terrible Christmas presents you got. Yeah. Got that return walking around money, and might as well throw us some ducats.
Yeah.
Get a horror movie talk shirt and rep. Please also, as always, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at dgoebel00 on Instagram. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you. Honestly, the commissions that he does are fantastic. Like, you can ask him for some pretty elaborate stuff, and he will deliver.
So that's actually what we were talking about. I was like, you working on any commissions right now? He's like, I'm doing a Tromeo and Juliet commission.
Really?
I was like, oh shit, I think Lemmy from Motorhead is in that movie. He's like, yeah, I'm actually working on Lemmy right now. And so look out for that coming from him on his Instagram. That's at dgoebel00 on Instagram.
Again, if you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Did we both do the same thing on that?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. That's
pretty cool.
Replay that. That's amazing. All right. So, the first thing that hits me about this, and this is kind of like not fair, and you need to judge the film by,
its own merit
and the time that it's in, but this movie on Amazon Prime looked like it was a straight rip from a VHS copy.
You mean the poster on Amazon, like the little placard that they give it?
The whole film, like, it's really lo-fi, like fuzzy sound. Man, you don't really realize the strides that filmmaking has made in the sound department until you watch an older film where it's like just lots of like fuzzy, overdriven analog tape sound,
and it's really not. It's not helped at all by the mostly dark setting of everything.
Right.
The lights turned down setting of everything. Sleepaway Camp, I think, was 82 and has a very similar quality issue, even with the digital copies of it that you can rent. But it's not as pronounced because it's all in broad daylight, so the lighting is really good, so you don't quite notice these big halos around all the lights and stuff like that. This is mostly dark. So all the lights are kind of blown out.
Yeah. So it's an 80s horror movie, and as you know, 80s is the decade of casual cinematic date rape. Or like absurdist peer pressure around sex.
Yeah, what is that? What is okay?
Did you ever feel in like high school or college, like when you're a virgin, you're like, oh, you gotta go fuck right now, go through that door and fuck that girl. It's like, what?
I wish.
I know. Like, where are all these friends setting up their virgin friends to go fuck like a Jamie Lee Curtis,
to go lose their mind?
Yeah.
No, it is a very, I think it's in reaction to, this may be too deep for horror movie talk, but I think it's in reaction to, you got, the Summer of Love in 68, 69, and then that kind of unleashes this free love wave, this idea of like, sex is just a thing. Everybody just has sex just for fun. There's the pill, so there's hopefully not dramatic repercussions. AIDS hasn't been invented yet by the monkeys. I'm sorry, apes. And
I thought you meant the musical group.
Hey, we're the monkeys, and people say they give us AIDS. That we give them AIDS. And so
HIV, we're the monkeys.
Yeah, and so then you have the 70s, which is this huge perversion of like sadness. According to Adam Carolla, the 70s is just this wave of like gross, gritty sadness and kind of an economic depression as well. So by 1980, you just have let's have sex. Let's just have sex. Our lives are horrible. I don't know. It's just a guess.
So the opening of this movie, so it's set in New Year's. There's like a frat / sorority party happening on New Year's. Mm-hmm. And there's some pledges, which is weird. Would there be pledges on New Year's? Like, wouldn't that happen the beginning of the semester?
I
was never involved. I was never involved. It's a
community college, and people are constantly coming in and leaving.
Yeah, I was never involved in a frat, so I don't know.
And this is the other thing that I liked about it. I kind of would have liked to be in a frat. Maybe. I mean, know.
Yeah, when you look at frats in movies.
What? Never mind. I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
No.
It sounds like one of those things where it's like you're shown all of the great parts, like the parties and like the drinking and fraternity, like the word.
Yeah.
And then you're not shown like, oh, you got to like have all these responsibilities and you have to go to these parties.
Yeah.
You have to like, buy. It's probably like a homeowners association for college where it's like, yeah, it's great. We love living here, but your neighbor's going to turn you in for, putting a flamingo out in your yard.
And look, I mean, I don't like adults bossing me around.
Right.
Like people who are supposedly reasonable and mature are oftentimes barely reasonable or mature. So some 21-year-old kid who's like, fucking clean up the bathroom, scrub. I'd just be like, well, I'm going to kill you. I guess get ready to board the terror train.
I know. It'd be like, you want to be part of the frat? You got to put on this blindfold. And then I'd be like, nope. Bye. I don't want to be.
Dick, David.
So anyways, it opens up with this party, and there's like the awkward, nerdy pledge.
David, this is so awkward.
Pledge that is being set up to fuck Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
And they're both supposedly virgins, and then he's led up to... This is like one of the most horrific parts is just the Christmas lights in this house.
They weren't Christmas lights. They were street lights.
They were street lights?
Yes. So you know those flashing... Okay, so first of all, they had 2 stoplights. So straight up green, yellow, red stoplights. And they were flashing in succession. So red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. And then there's also the hazard blinkers that sit atop the flat caution signs.
I really wasn't paying attention because I thought they were all Christmas lights.
Well, the thing that gave it away is I had friends who stole these things as well. And, they put them around their room. But they were so annoying because the audible click of the on-off of these lights is like... click. So it's like, and they're flashing lights, so it's like click, 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 and that's the sound in your room when you have one of these lights in there. And in the movie, you can hear they have like 7 of these things, and it's just like tick, 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 tick. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. So he's led up into this bedroom where Jamie Lee Curtis is supposed to be, down to fuck, and he starts undressing and so they have it set up where Jamie Lee Curtis, okay, it's so confusing because she's like they're trying to set me up with this guy to fuck him, like I'm kind of I'm not sure I want to. This is the 80s, but yeah, so I have to fuck.
She's like debating whether or not she you know what, maybe the debate in her head is she doesn't know if she wants to mess with this guy.
No, but it's specifically about they want me to have sex with this guy. And then she's up there, but she's hiding because there's someone else or something else in the bed.
Because they've put some body, either a dead body or a live girl made up to look dead.
Yeah, so
in the bed, and it's not Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's in this body. I assume it's a dead person.
But she's luring...
Because the tits move like...
Sure. Yeah. She's luring him in. She's like, hey, come on. Come to bed, sweetie. I don't know what she's saying, but he gets undressed and
it's my first time, too.
Yeah, that's right. That's my first time, too. He gets undressed, and then he opens, like, the very... It's like the... the gossamer curtains out of Brazil.
Yeah, like the mosquito netting.
And
Ew.
and then it flashes, and it's honestly, I mean, even while you're describing it, it's plain that it's confusing what's going on, because there's someone in the bed and they're dead. You get half a second flash, and then the guy starts just twirling around madly and getting wrapped up in the curtains around the bed. Just, I can't emphasize enough, how much twirling is going on.
The direction given to this young actor is, you're confused, you're scared, you're twirling.
Once again, more twirling.
Yeah.
Once again, more energy, more twirling, go. And then they did that 20 times until it was the guy was just mad with energy, twirling around, getting caught up in these curtains.
I will say this about this scene. It was really perversely gross. The reveal of this dead body in the bed was... It shocked me that they had done this to a person.
Right.
And I was like, God damn. I was like...
Oh my God, ew, David.
Yeah, it was... Oh,
Ew, no, David.
it was gross.
So I rewatched it right before we started and got a little more so it was a dead body, and it's pretty clear it's a cadaver because it's got
blue.
It's got the incision mark in the chest, it's been autopsied kind of thing. But it doesn't have arms and legs for some reason.
Yeah, well, you don't need those when you're dead.
But honestly, first viewing, you're like, am I supposed to be scared because someone was murdered? Or am I supposed to be scared because the guy is twirling?
It's kind of shut up. It's like, shut up. I think I have it down. I think I have it down. Okay, so Jamie Lee Curtis is debating whether or not she wants to do this.
Just for the record, you're putting in way more thought into this movie than whoever made this movie.
I know, but I like this, so I'm going to keep saying it. So Jamie Lee Curtis is like, I don't know, will I, won't I, about this whole thing, because she knows that, this is going to be a traumatic incident for this guy, and she's going to have to pity fuck him afterwards.
Right.
So she's like, I don't want to go through with it because I don't know if I really am into the pity fuck. And then she's like, no, you know what? I could use a little,
right.
I could use something in my ham wallet.
Maybe the plan was, we're going to prank him, have a good old time, pledge, look at this dead body. And then they're just going to shove over the rotting corpse in the bed, then fuck.
Oh. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Right, is, why not, you got another person in the bed? Who's to say?
So then it cuts to the credits, and there is one credit that just made me go what? I've never seen this credit before. Director of dialogue.
Huh.
It's what? Have you ever heard of a director of dialogue?
No, I haven't.
I had to look it up. I'm like, is this a thing in every movie that I just never realized was a thing? Because it's in the opening credits, not in the end full credits.
Right, this is important.
This is right next to the director of photography. It's director of dialogue. Mm-hmm. I looked it up, and it was more of a thing around the silent film era when they moved to talkies. Director of dialogue was someone that worked with the actors that were from the silent era to be you need to speak better so people can understand you, because silent actors might have been mealy mouth or had accents or had weak voices or something.
That's so interesting.
And now in this 1980s movie, there's a director of dialogue, which makes it even more absurd because the dialogue in this movie is awful. So it's you got to deliver this awful dialogue in a very specific way. It's
man, it was 40 years ago. 40 years ago this movie was released.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then it moves on. They're boarding the train. There's some dialogue with the train conductor. The train conductor is a real big part in this movie.
A huge part.
And he's like kind of an idiot.
He's the reason that they needed the dialogue director. Mm-hmm. I'm serious. He's 70 in this movie, so that means he was born in like 1910 or maybe 1900.
He was probably from the silent era.
Right.
He's in one of the Little Rascals. He was one of the, you killed the original Alpha.
My Aggie.
I love that in the Simpsons clip where Moe kills Alpha and the kids, the other Little Rascals, are like, you killed the original Alpha. They said the original in it. So great.
I didn't even think about that.
So one of the things that they say just like offhandedly is basically, I told you they should have installed a radio on this train. What happens if something goes wrong? What train is not going to have a radio?
A train in 1980 that's whole purpose is just to give rides. It's just to be like, we're a party train. That's what we do. We have a party train in our area.
We do?
Yeah. So those
Amtrak.
No. Those tracks that kind of go through the county, like starting basically from Fruit Valley Road until that hits Yakult, and it kind of, like, you'll cross these inexplicable train tracks that you've never seen a train on. That is one set of tracks, and it goes out into Amboy, and there's a train out there that's on a loop, and it's privately owned, and they just give rides in the fall to see the leaves, and rides in the summer to feel the breeze, and like you can rent it for
it was one thing that
private parties.
Found out there's like the things you stumble on the internet. One of the things I stumbled on was there's people that make like basically go-karts for train tracks. Oh. Or they make like pedal cars for train tracks.
Yeah. Oh, yes. You showed me this once, I think.
And you can find like
abandoned tracks
and like just go down them. And there's like some crazy videos of people with these train track go-karts that like go off until they reach a bridge that's completely collapsed. And they're like, oh, well, I guess we got to turn around.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Rail. What a weird
media.
Weird.
But it's important. In America, it's really important for, moving goods around. That's mainly what we use it for. And then in Europe, Europe and lots of Japan, Asia, there's people use trains.
Right.
What a world we live in.
What a country. So they are getting on this train, and for some reason it's like a elaborate costume party for New Year's.
This is what I like about it.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because it's like they're in a costume party. Why? Because we need it to be. All right.
Yeah.
We need disguises. All right. Get off our case. So it starts with the killer killing one of the friends and stealing his costume, which is like a pseudo Groucho Marx.
Right, before they board the train. And this was a bummer. I don't know why movies do that. They kill the funny guy right off the bat. Like, why? He's the interesting part of the movie.
Right.
Why are you killing him so quick?
Right.
And it's a trope, too. Like, this is a common thing. I don't get it. Seems like shooting yourself in the foot right off the bat.
Other examples of
probably
bad like the first time that I kind of like realized how bad the dialogue was the conversation between Jamie Lee Curtis and her friend. They're like,
we're gonna be good friends.
We're gonna be, oh, you are my best friend. You are also my best friend. I'm going to miss you. Yes, we're going to miss each other. Hugs. Oh, wow. We're going to be separated for a while. Well, I'll miss you again.
Yeah. Like, I kind of wish they'd have said something like, our boobs really squished together quite a bit when we hugged just now.
Right.
And then it got crazy. I was really expecting this movie to, like, take a good turn into some real raunchy sex. And so that really kept my attention for a long time. And I was really just waiting for it. I was like, go on. I don't know why it's still something that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Because porn is so prolific in my life.
Because it's just better.
Yeah.
Outside of porn. It's just something, there's something magical about it.
Yeah, it's like, wow. Wow. Wow.
It's the context. You go to porn, you're like, all right, I'm just going straight to the parts that I need. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this is like, there's a whole movie around one moment where you get to see some tits.
But it never gets there. It's very disappointing in that regard.
There are 2 boobs in this movie.
At the start, the body.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess there's 4 boobs in this movie.
Damn.
You didn't remember the scene where
where she's flirting with him and super drunk and trying to she's really coming on to him and he says no and she doesn't take no for an answer, but I'm not clear on whether that's attempted rape.
Well, it's the 80s. It's not rape in the 80s.
Oh, but don't you know? You can
friendly camaraderie.
You can have done something in any time in your life and be held accountable for it. Now, context doesn't matter, especially when we come to rape. And I think this might have been attempted rape.
I think that'll be the next like form of cancel culture. Is now we're going beyond like actual actions or statements. We're going to attack you for the movies that you've been in that had highly... It's like, you were in Revenge of the Nerds? Well, you don't get a career anymore.
Just wait until Elon Musk's Neuralink comes out and we can hold you accountable for thoughts that you have.
Right.
The cast about having sex with me? That's attempted rape.
I just realized the cast of Return of the Revenge of the Nerds is probably like... You can't cancel what has already been canceled in my career.
You can't blame everything on having been pigeon-toed, David.
Well, I'll try.
So, David Copperfield is hired to be the magician on this train. And
a very young, svelte David Copperfield.
Yeah. And David Copperfield is moody as fuck.
Yeah, he's...
It's funny. I'm reminded of how goofy and, like, it's so funny. Because, like... These magicians, you know that they're nerds.
Yeah.
They're just like, kind of like
nerds
nerds that like they don't, I don't want to generalize, but like they don't have like a real fun time
at parties.
And so they spend their time learning trickery so that they can get some attention. And
then they're granted too much power too quickly, and it overwhelms them.
And then so they got this facade of like, ooh, I gotta be really flashy to distract you from the fact that I'm palming this thing. And so anyways, it's funny. David Copperfield in this context. This is like he was already established. I checked his Wikipedia page. Like he'd already done like 2 or 3 television specials.
Wow.
So he was known.
He's a draw.
As a magician.
This is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money.
But it's pre like the famous specials where he disappeared the Statue of Liberty and walked through the Great Wall of China, which is the one I remember.
He disappeared the Statue of Liberty?
You didn't know that?
I vaguely recall this. How did he do that? He didn't really. It's still there, right?
It was an illusion, Michael.
Is it still there?
It's still there.
What about the Great Wall of China?
He put it back.
Okay.
He walked through it. This is the one that I remember from as a kid. I remember watching it on TV, like him going through the Great Wall, and it was this big, elaborate, like production where you see his shadow inside of a curtain walking through this wall and then coming out the other side. I mean. Say what you will about... I really liked David Copperfield when I was a kid. Like,
you strike me as someone who's seen David Copperfield live.
I have.
Yeah, there, I called it. I fucking knew it. I knew it.
What is it about me that betrayed me?
There's a lot of things. I mean... So first of all, being Mormon, that's a dead giveaway. It's like, we enjoy... This seems like hood wholesome fun. It's not drug-oriented, but it's still fucking partying.
There's no sex, but there's titillating, stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's enough to be like, ooh, it's a pretty girl.
And, we talk about... or you just got done, kind of giving a speech on how magicians are kind of not cool. Well, you and I weren't either. So there's another mark against you. And therefore, we are easily taken in by things like magic shows.
I mean, I'm betraying myself because I knew how that coin trick worked.
But also,
that doesn't just happen.
Also, your parents were loaded. And so you probably went to Vegas or something like that and were like, Dad, can we watch David Copperfield? And he was like, yes, son. With all of my money, I will buy you front row tickets.
We didn't see him in Vegas. We saw his show when it came to the Schnitz.
The cruise ship that we were on.
Yeah. So, yeah, David Copperfield, like, you know, credit where credit is due. He is the most successful magician, like, in history. Like,
what about Chris Angel?
Nope, not even close.
What about David Blaine?
Not even close. You know how many TV specials David Copperfield had?
No idea.
It's like over a dozen.
It helps that he's handsome.
Yeah, he is a pretty handsome,
dashing
guy.
Not in this movie. It's clear that he's svelte, but he's not.
He looks really scrawny and
kind of. Later on, he clearly got a workout regimen and a diet and a personal trainer and all that.
Right, and he pulled. Who is it? Claudia Schiffer was his wife.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean he.
That's the real magic trick.
Yeah. Illusion, Michael. So, yeah, David Copperfield is just a great addition to this, and really throughout the whole movie. I mean, his name should have been Red Herring, because they set him up as the, like, well, he's obviously the killer.
Yeah,
and that's like pretty much the only plot element that we have is that who's killing people? Well,
the magic.
There's a magician that can disappear and reappear whenever he wants.
That'll keep you quiet for an hour and a half.
For some reason, it's held out till like the very end of the movie that the kid that they pranked was a magician. Like, well, it didn't seem like relevant information at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
I am also a magician.
So they really underline that throughout the whole movie. I like that the magician like checks the crowd before the first show.
Yeah,
because there's multiple shows for some reason. And they're like, listen to that rock and roll music. And he's like, oh, this is a rock crowd.
I really need silence for my illusions to be performed correctly.
I need their attention. They're not going to pay attention. And then his first show happens, and it's like features just disco music.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't want this rock crowd. I'm exclusively a disco magician.
Only all disco magic all the time. Yeah. What is the thing that sets disco music apart? Is it just the four beat?
The four on the floor,
yeah,
kind of thing. I mean, there's nothing that sets it apart. It's just dance music.
Yeah,
like dance music has always existed, and for some reason in the 70s they're like, "Fuck dance music" because it has a name specific to this decade.
Yeah, disco though. Yeah, Blondie. She's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of disco.
No, I love disco too. I mean, how can you not?
Can't beat the Bee Gees.
Right.
Fucking get out of here with that.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Anyways, it's kind of, they talk about the prank they pulled in freshman year, and it took me a while to connect the dots of like, oh, that was the opening scene. That was the prank they were talking about. Because for some reason I didn't attach that.
Right.
And it's very obvious that...
Because at the time, you're still not clear on what happened at the start. You're like, what?
But they say it went real bad and the guy went in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, he got hurt, but I think I missed the part where they said it was a mental hospital. Because it was a mental... I didn't know that until I went to IMDb.
They didn't have the script director in there.
The dialogue director.
They go to the mental hospital. What was that?
So it's very, I mean, it's like very paint by numbers of, this is the line of dialogue that we say that sets up the movie. Yeah. And so it's very, very much so like, well, that's obviously the killer is the person that they pranked. Which is true.
Okay, but it's so clear that it's him.
Mm-hmm.
It's crystal clear to the point that that you're sure it's a twist. You're like, well, clearly it's so him that it can't possibly be him.
Right.
It can't be him. But it's at the end of the movie, it turns out to be him. Well, and it's so low effort. Like, it's like, the real twist is that there is no twist. And it's like, what is happening?
So, yeah, people start getting murdered. And this is the other part where it's like, I guess we don't share relevant information in this train, because the conductor stumbles across, I guess, the second dead body, which is the black guy in the lizard costume.
Yeah.
And this guy got killed is he had his head shoved into the mirror and basically bludgeoned to death.
Yeah.
And then so the conductor comes in, there's blood everywhere, mirror smashed, and now we really have
the
dead body on the floor, and then he goes back to the other assistant train conductor, I guess, and is like, there's been an accident.
Assistant to the train conductor.
There's been an accident. Something real bad. Someone died.
Yeah. I really hate to put this on you,
but he doesn't share that the person was obviously murdered.
Right.
Well, a real clumsy guy fell down in the bathroom and died.
Died hardcore.
He didn't mention that there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, it's weird. And then they go back and to show him, he's like, "Yeah, see, here's where it is." And the guy's, well, hey, now he's okay. He seems to be okay.
Yeah, and so they come back, and then there's no blood, and the lizard man is alive.
Yeah,
and
it's inexplicable.
How did that happen? He's real groggy. And the other part is the train conductor never took off the mask of the guy.
Right.
He just reached underneath the mask to take a pulse.
Felt around a little bit.
Because why would you take off a mask?
Well, my first inclination is to reach into his pants, see what he's working with. Okay.
After that, though, you would take off the mask. So, anyways, when the guy came to, he just still has the mask on. He's like, well, I guess that's obviously the same guy. He's just not bloody. I guess he just cleaned himself up and then laid down on the floor again.
That's weird, but okay.
And then the train conductor is like, well, that's kooky.
So
I guess he was just drunk.
Now, really, at this point, we begin the purgatory of the movie. This is the beginning of the purgatory of Terror Train.
Right.
Which is a lot of vaguely uninteresting dialogue, and walking from car to car, and a lot of relationship advice and questions and minor relationship intrigue.
Yeah, but you don't care about any of these people. It
just kind of goes nowhere.
Yeah. You're not actually given any information about any of the characters other than some of them are pranksters.
Yeah.
Like the Doc guy.
Yeah.
He's a pre-med student and his name is Doc. He is a prankster, and then all of his friends are his friends.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the information that we're given. And then, the dialogue is terrible. So there's this is an example of what we're working with here. This is I almost was going to do a horror porno just specifically for this movie because there's some dialogue that feels like it's taken straight out of a porn.
Yeah, it's very low effort.
So here's an example.
Guys, come join me, Mo.
No, I'll stay here.
Come on, does that mean I have to come to you?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you want to dance?
No, I'll just watch.
Come on.
No, that's okay.
What, Jane? What do you want to see?
No, I don't want to dance.
Come on.
No, that's okay.
Oh, does that mean you want to do something?
No, I'll dance. Just don't do that.
Oh, you're so cute.
Hey, no, come on, stop.
Weirdly, as vapid and stupid and vague and dumb and just boring as that 30-second long clip of nothing happening, I liked it.
Right.
I was like, she really wants him to dance, and he's like, no, because I'm that guy, and all I want is for some hot girl who's barely clothed to walk up to me and be like, you want to dance? And I'm like, no, I got a girlfriend. And she's like, come on. I'm like, okay, no, I really don't want to. She's like, come on. And then 30 to 40 seconds later of me going, no, and her going, yeah, and me going, okay. And so,
yeah,
there's something that works about it for me.
Right. I mean, yeah, this is the indication that the film industry, by and large, has been catering to white men for like the entirety.
Oh,
pretty much.
Is this solely a white thing?
It's not. Well, I'm sure it's not just a white thing, but it's definitely a male thing. I was just like, oh yeah. Just girls just really want to fuck you particular.
We are, if you can't tell, of the white persuasion. Bryce and I both.
Right.
So if you are of some other race, tell us your train-oriented fantasy. is a train New Year's Eve party a really white thing or a really, really, really white thing?
So that... I didn't get the full clip of that, but she like tries to have sex with him, and then the guy's like, this is very 80s, like, he goes, we're missing the magic show. Which was confusing because there was a magic show like 20 minutes ago in the movie.
Yeah, it never ends.
And you're like, what? You're not, you are, was the editor just confused or something? That this was supposed to go earlier in the movie, but then...
No, David Copperfield sets it up. He's like, my first of 7 magic shows is about to happen.
Because when you hire a magician, you're hiring them for several shows. Because everyone knows that the magic show only really gets good the third time you see it.
You got the 7:45 show, you got the 8:15 show, 8:45 show. You can't forget the 9:15 show. You also have the 9:45 show. You have the 10:15 show, and then you have the midnight show.
I mean, magicians are like stand-ups. Like, they don't have multiple versions of the show. They don't have like, I mean, maybe if you're late career like Penn and Teller, you have enough like illusions to like make up several different shows or change it up like a rock group where you're like, here's our set list.
Right.
But in general, like, if you're doing a show, you're working specifically on the show you're working on right now.
If you didn't know Bryce was white before, you know it now. His in-depth knowledge of magic show.
And stand-up. All right. I feel seen. I don't like being seen for what I am. We're shown the magician hitting on Jamie Lee, and this is like really where David Copperfield is really laying on the creep vibes. Yeah. They do a callback to a line from the opening scene, where like Jamie Lee Curtis is saying, "It's my first time too," and like Copperfield gives Jamie Lee Curtis like a rose or something, and she says something, and he's like, "Oh, this is my first time giving a rose to a woman," or something like that. So it's like almost like a very, very specific callback to that opening scene to where it's almost like the magician is trying to specifically communicate that they have history. And it's so thoroughly established as a red herring. And then it shows, so he has multiple shows. Doc, the main, prankster, he hates magicians.
I fucking hates them. And I think isn't Doc like the leader of of Sigma Phi? So, and the guy who set up and hired the magician?
But then there's the throwaway line where he's like, I didn't hire a magician.
Okay, so the magician came with the train. It's a package deal. And when asked, do you want the magician option? You're told it's not real. He's part of the package. You can't really opt out.
It's in our contract that the magician has to have 3 shows on any train ride.
He has this he has this railway market cornered. It's a strong union. We can't do anything.
So it's established that Doc hates magicians, which is also like even more established that like, well, obviously they are enemies.
Right.
They're pitted against each other. And then during the show, Doc is like heavily heckling the magician. Like, I could do that. This is dumb.
David Copperfield
You're dumb.
puts him in. You're dumb.
And then
say it again. I stepped on it.
This is dumb. You're dumb.
That's exactly what Doc is like.
Yeah.
And David Copperfield puts him squarely in his place.
Yeah. And he does. Okay. This is a setup to the finale of the movie. Tell me if you had the same experience. So in like response to Doc saying anyone can do this, David Copperfield does like the disappearing act where he raises the sheet.
Yeah.
And there's a little jiggle. And then the sheet drops and it's his beautiful assistant in his place. And he's nowhere to be seen. Did you think there was anything odd about the beautiful assistant?
I can't recall, but I don't think so.
The beautiful assistant looked a little too much like David Copperfield to where I was like, it was a trick that he just changed into drag instantly. Like, I was like, is that what the trick is? And then it's far enough away to where you're like, maybe that's just kind of a real ugly woman.
Yeah. Okay. That's right.
Or like just kind of a weird, just not a real for a guy that can pull down Claudia Schiffer, like this is not the level at which he would be operating at.
No.
In terms of assistance. And then the camera turns around, David Copperfield is in the back of the train car behind everyone. He's like, ha ha, illusions. And so anyways, that's set up. Let's skip forward. Lots of people killed. Doc finds like his friend and Jamie Lee Curtis's kind of love interest, I think. I can't keep track of who's fucking who, but
let's just skip to the end.
Well, yeah, I just got to say one important thing was when Doc finds his friend dead, he's like carrying his dead body, like screaming, like, "Oh, he's dead!" And then everyone's like, "Haha, what a funny prank!"
Yeah,
and so it's very much like The Boy That Cried Wolf instant. And then like he gets to people that are helping him, and he's like, "I'm a doctor, goddammit! I'm a doctor," and then he proceeds to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he like
to help his friend.
Yeah, it's inexplicable, and I'm like, well, is he a doctor, or is he, or ain't he?
Mm-hmm.
And but also it occurs to me this isn't really a terrifying train, only for a few people.
Yeah,
like most people, 90% of the people on this train had a fine time with a moment where they had to get off the train,
right,
to be asked about being the killer, and then they were like, hey, I'm cold, can I go back inside and keep drinking, please? Thanks.
And then they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, they stop the train, everyone gets off. Jamie Lee and Elena and Doc figure out like, oh well, obviously it's this Kenny guy that we pranked. And then Doc proceeds to be like, grab Elena and drag her back onto the train, and really angrily, it's like, why are you fighting? I'm trying to save you by separating you from everyone and putting you in a secluded place in a train car that doesn't have very good locks.
Yeah, that's right. Why?
Just come with me, bitch. It's like, what? That makes no sense.
Well, I mean, they've set Doc up to be that guy.
They didn't really set him up too much. I mean, Elena doesn't like him, but you're not really seeing him.
He's just a douche. He's been he's been heckling. He's constantly messing with his buddy and Jamie Lee Curtis and their relationship. He's just a dick.
Yeah. So in this train car, when he's trying to lock himself away with Jamie Lee Curtis, he's like full 100% 80s douche villain.
Yeah.
He's like, every man for himself. It's blah, 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 blah. I'm a douche.
What was the deal with like, why did frat members Why were frat members so prolific, and why were they so douchey? I guess I know why they were so douchey, but why so prolific in 80s movies?
Yeah, specifically fraternities.
Yeah, fraternities. It's like college, go to college. Everybody goes to college.
I mean,
go to fraternity.
It has to be like Animal House. Like, it has to be like...
Was that a 70s movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got to tap into the Animal House aesthetic or something.
Maybe.
So it's like a shared language.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy that.
Anyways, Jamie Lee escapes this train car with him, and then she gets found by the conductor, and the conductors are like, "We'll protect you. We've got a very secluded, set apart, old, specific final car train, final girl car.
We call this the boss fight car. No reason."
And then, of course, she's attacked by the killer, and elaborate, kind of scenes where it's kind of like just real awkward. It's like they film this whole movie and they get to like kind of the final boss fight, and they're like,
what should he do to be scary?
And they just kind of start looking around the room.
Literally.
They're like, oh, well, here's a bar. He could kind of poke that through.
Try and jab at her with it. Yeah, she locks herself in this cage, and he can't get in because she got the key.
It's awkward and weird.
Yeah, it's so strange.
And there's lots of weird, like, this. So he grabs her and strangles her, and her reaction is to, like, raise her hands like a robber is pointing a gun at her. Because that's how you defend yourself.
Right. It's
all just weird 80s bad slasher movie logic for the remainder of the movie.
And the thing is, it's not like he's not a physically imposing man. He's not like, the only thing that sets him apart from anyone else is that, he's got a beef.
Right.
He was messed up, and so it's like he kind of got this small little wafy kind of guy who's angry, and that's enough apparently for a 1980s audience.
Well, they're wiry. Yeah. That's the thing you got. You got wiry guys. They got wiry strength.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got those scrawny guys, but their little tendons are like steel cables.
Jesus. Actually, that's true. I do have a buddy who is very small, but also, I wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah.
Like, he knows how to wrestle, and he is good at it.
Yeah. So, my question while I was watching this movie, because these 80s slashers were so prolific. They're so... You could have a whole podcast just on 80s slashers, and there are podcasts.
And you'd never run out.
Does anyone find them scary? Is anyone scared by this movie?
I don't know.
Like, I can't believe...
Would your wife be scared of this?
No. Like, it's not even like... There's not even like decent jump scares. It's not even like exploitational scares. It's like...
Yeah, it's mostly just relationship advice.
Look, it's a fake dead body. Oh, I'm spooked.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ending. Let's talk about the ending. This is the best part of the movie, is the ending. Not just because you don't have to watch the movie anymore, but because the reveal of who the killer is... so great. Because how they set it up, they have to do it in this ridiculous way to where they show the killer, and he comes back from assumedly dead. Like, Jamie Lee has thrown him off the train supposedly, but he clung
onto the side.
And when he reappears, Jamie Lee sees him, and then the reveal, and he looks up, and he has like this creepy see-through mask on.
Yeah.
And then he unmasks the face, and then it's the assistant. Right. It's not the magician, because we just saw that David Copperfield was murdered. It was his assistant. But wait, there's more.
David!
His assistant takes off her wig, and it's a guy in drag.
Oh. As we know from early 80s slashers, nothing is scarier than a man dressed as a woman, or a woman dressed as a man, for that matter.
So it's disguise on disguise reveal, which is just one more layer of just like, this is so dumb. And then I can't even.
This is so awkward.
I can't remember. Oh yeah, so he goes to, and this is all I guess to get Jamie Lee to kiss him. He's like,
now.
Kiss me, and he's got like those.
Now kiss.
And then she kisses him, to which he promptly goes insane because.
Yeah, he's like, all the flashbacks from that night when I was driven madly insane by the prank.
And then he starts twirling around and getting caught in some random fabric hanging down again, just like the beginning of the film. And then he just falls out of he gets kicked out of the train. Falls off a bridge and goes thunk. This happens within like 20 seconds. It's the most ridiculous ending ever. It is the most enjoyable part about this movie.
See, I was just
we're seeing him. The opening scene is this absurd, like confusing scene where the guy's like twirling around and getting caught up in these curtains for some reason, and it's not even like he's strangling himself. It's just that he's real caught up real bad.
Get him the old... How should we end this? Make him do that thing that he did at the start where he twirled around. You want him to twirl? Yeah, just make him twirl.
But tonight I say we must move forward, not backward, upward, not forward, and always twirling, twirling, twirling towards freedom.
Oh, yay, David!
That was the writer's room when they were coming up with how to end this film. So anyways, that was the best part of the movie, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, there it is. Terror Train, 1980, Jamie Lee Curtis, free on Amazon right now. My final recommendation is, if you want something on in the background while you're having a New Year's Eve party, no problem. This one is no problem. It's fun. There's a very kind fat man who never gets unvirginized, as far as I can tell. But he's a merry old man, and he gives some speeches. I liked him.
That was probably another great, probably the best dialogue in the movie was
his speech.
No, in the opening of the film where he's the pledge, the fat guy's the pledge, right. And the frat bro is like, "We're gonna you got to get laid tonight. That's how you're gonna get initiated." And the guy's like, "Laid?" And the guy's like, "Okay, you're right. How about you get to see some bare chest? You have to see boobs tonight." He's like, "Okay, I can work with that."
that we can do.
Okay, so any final recommendations?
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
You can
Terror Train.
You can skip this. Honestly, if I were to tell you to watch this, I'd say watch the opening scene and then the end scene, and that's all you really have to watch.
Do you think David Copperfield hangs his hat on this one?
I would love to see him hear this reference.
You know, I was in Terror Train.
It's like, I know that you disappeared like a airliner and the Statue of Liberty, but I really want to talk to you about Terror Train, and just see him hang his head in shame.
He's like, Jamie Lee was a beautiful young woman.
Okay, so let's move on to taglines.
Here's taglines.
Taglines is an old game that we play where we come up with alternate taglines for the movie that we're reviewing. I've only got a couple.
How do you feel about these taglines? Are you feeling good?
Not great.
I feel pretty good about mine.
Okay, I'm glad because mine didn't come out easy. I thought they'd be a lot easier, and then I was just kind of struggling, and I didn't give myself enough time to come up with them.
Shocking.
Okay. Terror Train. It's the punked train to Punktown, leaving Punked Station.
Terror Train. Sigma Phi, more like Sigma Die.
Okay. Terror Train. Trapped on a train with the true terror. illusionist.
I like that one. Terror Train. We run a train on your terror.
Okay, I really like that one.
I like that one too.
All right, I kind of blew my load on this one, but
oh boy,
Terror Train.
But tonight I say we must move forward, not backward, upward, not forward, and always twirling, twirling, twirling towards freedom.
Yay! Okay, Terror Train. If a train leaving Santa Fe moves at 65 miles an hour going west, and a train leaving Boston moves at 45 miles an hour going east, at what point do you get stabbed in the dick? That's Taglines.
That's Taglines. All right, let's move on to horror movie.
Whooores.
That went on forever.
All right, horror movie horrors. Are we saying horrors?
Horrors.
Or horrors?
They're horrors.
Horrors. Okay.
We need a dialogue director.
We need a dialogue director here at Horror Movie Talk. So this is a bit where we listen to voicemails left by fans. Let's see, the 5th was the last time we did it. Okay, so let's start here.
Hey guys, it's your Patreon member Manny, your boy Manny, local, of course, and everything. But I just wanted to call you guys and just say you guys are really like sponsoring the shit out of Manscaped, and I'm really suggesting on getting that shit because my shit down there be looking like Osama bin Laden's beard. So I think I'm gonna order that Manscaped from hearing from your guys' review. It's really great down there, so I think I might get that. And all the fellow listeners out there that are guys, definitely should get a Manscaped because you got to make your balls look shiny like a little glass orb. But, you know, love you guys, and see you guys next time.
That's HMT at checkout.
He's got a bush like Osama bin Laden.
Damn.
That's
Did we do a Manscaped ad in this?
No.
Oh, should we have?
No.
Oh, okay.
They didn't pay for it.
Well, I thought they were doing December, January, February.
They're doing four spots each month. So there's 5 weeks.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your freebie, Manscaped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Manny. So it sounds like Manny's got his Manscaped, and, you know, ladies, if you're in the Vancouver, Washington area, you should probably be seeking out yourself some Manny.
Yeah.
At least you know his junk is clean.
He's got shiny, glowing orbs for you to play with. All right, here's another one.
Hey, guys. I haven't really noticed any young people call in necessarily, but 21, North Carolina, you guys are one of the two, if not the only podcast I actually really look forward to and enjoy every single episode. Appreciate what you guys do, and keep it up. It's very authentic, and I love it. Just don't change anything. You guys are great. Bye.
Don't worry about us changing. We don't know how because we're old.
Thank you for leaving that message, fellow youth.
Fellow youth. Actually, yeah, no, 21, and I think Manny is pretty young.
Manny's
as
like
well.
19, I think.
I don't know. I numbers, I'm old, I forget.
Manny's pretty young. I seem to remember. It's been a while since, like,
dude,
we've
Manny
talked
has
about
the largest collection of horror movie toys I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they're fucking impressive.
Right.
Anyway, thank you for calling, North Carolina. We love you.
Thanks for the kind words. Here's our final message.
David and Bright, I have returned to speak to you.
What's up, you dirty fucks? This is Rose Ho from the Bronx calling you guys again. It's been a while. I've been exploring my sexuality. I had my ass eaten a couple of times, but that's just a side quest here. I'm calling to tell you guys, I had my debit card stolen from a nice young lady that I invited over a couple of days ago. So I had to cancel my Patreon subscription, but have no fear. I will buy in again. But aside from that, speaking of using the R retarded word, I used to act retarded so I could use the handicapped bathroom. I would walk in perfectly fine, and if I would hear someone outside the door, I would walk out with a limp to help further the idea that I, in fact, was retarded. Well, goodbye, you dirty fucks. I love you all.
That's such a loose definition of the word retarded.
I think that's just...
I walked with a limp to show the retardation.
I think that's just disabled.
I love Rojo.
Rojo's great.
So he became a patron, and then he stopped being a patron, and I was like, oh, shit. I don't know how we could have possibly said something to offend Rojo, but he stopped becoming a patron. So he calls it an necessity that a woman that ate out his ass stole his fucking debit card.
Well, I don't think he specifically said it's the woman that ate out his ass.
She's an angel.
But whoever did that was an angel. Yeah. I have not experienced that. I don't know
you
about
gotta
you.
call back and tell me what that's like. I want descriptions.
I wouldn't.
I can imagine.
Okay. This is another way that it's going to betray how old I am, because I cannot fathom the situation in which I would be able to ask, "Hey, honey, will you please eat out my asshole?"
Oh, shit. Ew. David.
Or
David.
Or the situation in which my wife would volunteer to be like, "Oh, hey, honey, bend over. Let me eat out your dirty asshole."
That's the thing. You got to be practical about this.
Yeah, and then the thing is you got to prepare. It's that's a lot of work.
For somebody to look at my scrum, I'll sit in the shower for longer than is comfortable.
I'm a simple man. I have a simple taste.
And is ass part of those tastes?
I just like dressing up like a child and my wife dressing up as a priest.
This makes so much sense. Oh, man.
Anyways, I love that Rojo's like, one of these kind ladies stole my debit card. I'm like, is it a particular kind of woman? Like, did you pick her up, on just hanging out on the street?
I see.
Somewhere?
This is the thing. When you live in borderline rural America, like us, and basically, I mean, where we grew up, used to be, when we were kids, this was rural, and now it's kind of the suburbs. And I think the city life and city people are very different, especially New York, man.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, he's in the Bronx. What do you? I'm not saying everybody from every young woman you sleep with in the Bronx is going to steal your credit card after she has sex with you, but there's probably a few. I mean, he met one, so we know there's one.
Right.
So that's all I'm going to say. I love you, Rojo.
Love you, Rojo. And that's it for this week. We'll have a lot of catching up to do because we're recording this well in advance.
Ew.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to find another New Year's horror movie to review the week after.
We got another 1-star review. Apparently, they did not. They just said stop burping,
and to which we say,
"No,
well, stop burping when you take it from my cold, dead larynx."
I wouldn't mind not having to burp. It's just I have to. What am I going to do?
I'm just so back and forth on it. Like, I can see this is the amount, the minuscule size of my self-esteem, to where if anyone complains about anything I do, I'm instantly like, well, I guess I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you fold like a goddamn card. House of cards, man. You just like, yeah, you're right. I'm bad. Yeah, I mean,
because also it's pretty. It's kind of. I mean, if you study anything about, if you research anything about podcasts, that's kind of table stakes. Is like, don't chew or belch or make extreme mouth sounds into the microphone because it's obscene and people will hate you for it.
Yeah, sure.
To which we're like, fuck that.
Yeah, I don't need your rules. I don't need a big audience. It'd be interesting to do a moratorium, like a 2-month moratorium.
Right.
Burpatorium.
Maybe that should be our New Year's resolution. No belches in the new year.
Yeah, and maybe Magnus will start some sort of underground movement to get the burps back, or maybe I don't know. We'll see. I haven't heard from Magnus in a little bit.
No, Magnus will start a grassroots campaign to make us watch some other piece of shit movie.
Swedish fish. Okay, well, I love you guys. I hope you share this episode with a friend because that is how we grow. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of ways by going to horrormovietalk.com. You know all the ways. You've been listening, so we love you very much. And bye.
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 Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pop done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rum. Kiss, Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know it's true cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare no expert. And global fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pop done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rum. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargain for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle bitties. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon, and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30 days shutter and jump scares, they fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. Just show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty ass, stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy, HMT, Horror Movie Talk. Hold on, they don't like Halloween. Fuck them.
This is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael. Trick is something a whore does for money.